So welcome everybody. This is our first of 5 days of daily intimacy, and I'm so happy to have all of you here this morning. And thank you for checking in. Thank you for posting in the chat how you're feeling this morning. Thank you for turning your videos on so we can actually have some more intimacy during this time of going internal in many ways, inside in many ways. So inside in a lot of ways. So yeah, if you haven't checked in the chat box, please feel free to do that. Let us know where you're calling in from, and on a scale of 1 to 10, how you're feeling this morning, how you're doing this morning. And everything is welcome here. I decided to do this because last week I jumped in just kind of randomly and unexpectedly into this 5-day coaching that somebody had offered, and I'm just gonna check the mute. Yeah. Okay. Just make sure you're muted if there's any noise in the background or if you're moving around. That'd be really helpful. So anyway, I found it so helpful to have this morning routine at a time when, all the structures are kind of, being tossed up, and seeing where they land. And I had this morning routine of getting up and doing my morning self-care rituals, and then sitting down at my computer in the kitchen and joining this group of people for kind of coffee and conversation and some sharing of ideas and support. And when it started to come to an end, I realized how valuable it was for me and for all of us to have structure at this time. And the sharing of ideas and was just so helpful. And also I've just been, obviously those of you that have been paying attention to my newsletters anyway are aware that I've been putting things out to be, as supportive as possible during this time. So the spaces that have been created have been really beautiful, really supportive and loving and open, and yeah, so great. So I feel really blessed and happy to be here. And I invited 5 dear friends and colleagues to participate with me every day this week. And that's really fun and exciting for me, and hopefully for you. I assume it will be. And today we have Gina LaVerde, who I've just gotten to know in the last couple months, but we fell immediately in love in December when we met. And I'll say a little more about you in a moment. I'm going to do a little Zoom housekeeping, but I'm really happy to have you here. Thank you for coming in at 6 a.m. California time.
Yeah, I'm grateful to be here.
Yeah, thanks. So just a bit of Zoom housekeeping for those of you that haven't been Zooming the last couple of weeks. Let's see, keep your videos on if you can. That's awesome. If you haven't found the chat box, should be a little icon at the bottom of your screen. It's called different things on different computers, but there's a speaker view and a gallery view. The gallery view is kind of like, what do you call it, Hollywood Squares. If you go to full screen, you'll get as many people on as you can. And speaker view means that whoever is speaking will be on the big screen for you. So you can play around with that. If you keep yourself muted, that's really helpful, because otherwise if you're like making like a crinkling sound, you become the speaker on somebody else's screen. Like Gina might be talking and you're like ruffling pages, and then you become the person, and everybody can see you doing that. So that's something to know. I'll be keeping track of muting all though, so I'll be keeping track of that. Anyway, feel free to put questions in the chat. I'll keep track of that the best I can. If you click on participants, a screen comes up to your right and you can raise your hand, and I will also be scanning for that. But just know I'm, multitasking here. So if I don't get to you right away, just give me another nudge so that I see you. Okay, so let's start with a centering meditation, and then I will introduce Gina, and we're going to talk about some really good things, some juicy things for today. So I invite everybody to have a breath and gently close your eyes. And let's do, I'm going to unmute everybody because I like to do the breathing all together. So let's have a nice deep breath in and exhale with a sound or a sigh. We'll just do that once and then I'll turn it off. Here's some sound and breath into our day. So a nice deep breath with all the sound in the background. Great. Okay, we'll go to mute again. Okay. And just keeping your eyes closed, I invite you to bring your attention to the earth right beneath you. And tuning into her. It's a lot churning around. And so we want to connect to the love and the peace that she provides, the stability, the ground literally, and the feeling of ground and groundedness. And maybe you picture yourself in some beautiful part of the earth that you visited before or that you imagine visiting someday. And just imagine yourself there. This incredible beach or top of a mountain. And take in all that's around you, the sounds in this beautiful place, the taste, the visual beauty. Notice the touch if there's what you could reach out and touch in that space. And just allow yourself to land there. Relax your belly, relax your shoulders. Open and close your jaw. See if you can release your jaw. Your eyes closed. You can open real wide. Nobody's watching. But I find that that is a place, at least for me, where I might put some tension in when I'm not paying attention. And so, sound and opening. Deep breath into the belly. And the next breath, I invite you to gently open your eyes and come on back. So again, thank you everybody for being here. If you haven't said hi in the chat, please do. Where you're calling in from. Welcome to the people who have just come onto the line. I also had asked for a scale of 1 to 10, how you're doing, 10 being awesome, 1 being not so great this morning. However you're feeling is completely welcome. Okay, so I'm going to do my best to introduce Gina, but I know that you will fill in the gaps.
Okay.
Gina LaVerde is somebody that I met, I'm just going to say synchronistically because that's exactly how it happened. And I've done a couple of months of work with her, with you, in the realm of medical, intuitive and medical mediumship, and have learned a lot about, sort of grounding and confirming my own intuition and abilities, and also received lots and lots of support and love and guidance that comes through you, and so generously. And like I said when we started, I just fell in love with you the minute I met you, and your story is incredible. Your story about healing yourself and your son is absolutely remarkable. I think you're tuned in on a level that is much greater and wider, and so your gifts are really wanted and needed here. So when I asked you if you wanted to participate in this, you immediately said yes. And when I asked you about a topic, you mentioned parenting and pleasure, and also that you were going to weave in, as I know you do, your gifts around the medical intuitive piece, and especially around immunity, because that's really all what we're working on right now is boosting our immunities so that we stay safe and healthy during this time. So, do you want to add anything in terms of introduction? Like, I know there's so much more. You know, this community is just meeting you. So,
Yeah, no, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful that you asked me. Yeah, it was like destiny brought us together when I met you. I mean, wow. I mean, yeah, it was an amazing session, and then just springboarded, after that. So yeah, super grateful to be here with you and your people, and to serve you as, as needed and whatever. I'm going to be surprised, I guess. I mean, I already feel I'm going to be surprised about whatever shows up today, My specialty, I'm a medical intuitive and a natural medium. And so right now, I think, we are all, most of us would love to know that our immune system is strong, right? And if it's not, we'd love to know how to get it strong. So my specialty is really being able to see into the body and know what's going on and help people get to the root cause of whatever might be going on in there, whatever's keeping them not well, or how they can feel better. Because I believe that we can all really thrive in our bodies. We can all feel well, whether we have allergies or aches and pains or something even more serious. Those layers can be peeled away. And then when you asked me to speak today, I thought, well, we're quarantined, a lot of us, I mean, most of us. And the stress of that actually weakens the immune system if we don't know if we can't manage it, I'm living with 4 people, I told you yesterday. I mean, it's kind of remarkable, the situation that I'm in. We were trying to sell our house when I first met you, and it didn't sell. So we're back here. And we did get rid of most of our furniture. So we're without the normal comforts that we used to have, but yet we're in 600 square feet with my husband and myself, a 15-year-old and a 6-year-old. So
wow.
We are building forts in the house. We are doing all these crazy things. We are happy, and actually we're great, and I thought, well, these are gifts that I can share with whoever is listening, whoever is watching the recording. How do you do it? How do you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Wow. 600 square feet. I have exactly a sense of how big that is or
I
small
mean, I
that
can
is.
walk you around like another time, like this is my bedroom. This is my bathroom,
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, so I would really love to dive into the topic of immunity.
Okay.
We can also talk about living in, inside and how to manage that. But I feel that the information you have on immunity and keeping our immune systems healthy and strong right now would be so valuable. And I also want to give people a chance to ask questions.
Sure.
And yeah, so do you want to start with like your top? I mean, you could, I know you're going to tune in to this particular
Yeah.
group as well.
So, I think when a lot of us think about immunity, we actually don't know what we're thinking about. Like, are we thinking about cells in our body? What are we thinking about? Are we thinking about foods we can take so we don't get sick? Like, I think that now is an interesting time because we're all like, let's boost our immune system. And I don't know if anybody really knows what that is. I don't even know, to be honest with you, if most of the people who are delivering the information even know what it is. What is a virus? So I can be really simple and kind of start there. And like, what is our immune system? Our immune system is literally bugs, bacteria, viruses, little microorganisms our primary immune system are these microorganisms who can define what is good and what is bad, and really push away the good, push away the bad, and keep the good. We have them all over our skin. We have them in all of our openings. We have them in our lymphatic system, in our gut. And that's the book that I wrote, Are You Eating Your Bugs? You know, it's all about creating a strong immune system by understanding that the primary immune system is these microorganisms. When we're talking about boosting our immune system, we want to talk about balancing those. So, and when we're testing medicines and we're testing vitamins or supplements and things like that, we want to test them against that, against our true immune system. There's all kinds of things like different immune cells, different cells that eat up bad things. You know, when we're talking about creating a vaccination or something like that, we're talking about bypassing the primary immune system and injecting something into our bloodstream and having a different type of immune response, like an antibody immune response. And that's once a pathogen has gone past our bugs, then our cells have to take over. Okay, but it's also important to know that there are bugs within our cells themselves. And as cells die, cells go through a life cycle. And as they die, I described it the other day, like, you know, when a leaf falls off the tree and it falls to the ground, it'll start to rot. It rots because there's bugs inside of it, and they start eating away at it. And the purpose is to go back to Mama Earth. You know, the purpose is so that we can keep recycling life, right? So while we have bugs in our primary immune system, our gut, our mouth, all of our openings, our lymphatic system, we also have bugs in our cells. And so our cells, as they die, viruses and bacteria will come out to help eat them and flush them out of the body. It's a natural way of being. So viruses and bacteria and those things are already present within our body. And when another threat comes in, like anything that you can think of as like poison, like let's say breathing in something toxic or whatever, those bugs will shift. Those bugs, they shift, and they will become something else in order to help protect you. So, and nature has a way of, for example, microorganisms that eat up plastic, or microorganisms that eat up radiations poisoning, or so the ones that are in our cells will actually change their form to do that. So I think that that's a really important thing to understand, because I think that most of the people I talk to, we were never educated on what the immune system is. And when we're trying to like boost our immune system, we don't understand what the heck we're doing. Okay, vitamin C boosts my immune system, but what is it doing in my body? Does that make sense? Like
Yeah, thank you for giving us the overview.
So yeah, so I think that when it comes to viruses, like right now is what we're talking about, viruses, we need to know that viruses are present in our body already, and they're there to help things that are dying, right? They're there to eat up the dead cells. And so what is important to do is deal with those parts that are with, and this is like the emotional, the spiritual, the energetic side of things. So you need to ask yourself, what part of me is dying? And that's okay, because we're all always transitioning, right? We're always, you know, flowing, right? So what part of me is dying and is ready to be released? Okay. And that could be like old ways of being. And this is what the Mother Earth is going through right now in her own immune system, is what am I keeping and what am I letting go of? As we're all in quarantine right now, a question we can ask ourselves is like, you know, I have this alone time. What do I like about my life and what do I not like? I have time to shed those things that, exactly, always shedding. I have time to shed those things that no longer work for me, whether they are foods or habits or people or behaviors, whatever they may be. So that's where it's always body, mind, and spirit. It's always physical, emotional, spiritual, all always connected. You know?
That's so right on and beautiful, Gina. I would love to pause just for a moment right there, because that's a wonderful reflective question that you just asked. And I've been sitting with that question as well. And I just wanted to I wanted to press pause there because it's so beautiful. And I wonder if everybody on the line right now could take a moment, grab pen and paper, and just take a minute to answer that question, because there's no time like the present, especially now. Always, but right now. So yeah, let's just take 60 seconds and answer that question. What part of you is dying or transitioning? What's ready to be released? I know I actually answered that question. I've been answering it in the last couple weeks, but last night especially received that invitation to answer that question more specifically and deeply. And I can share my response, but I'm going to give you about 60 seconds to take a minute. And yeah, old ways of being. Gina was mentioning foods. What else did you say?
Habits,
Foods,
beliefs,
habits, behaviors,
even
beliefs.
people,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah. Yep. Yes. It's true.
It's a hard one, but sometimes
It
it
is,
needs to
but
happen.
sometimes, yeah, exactly. Sometimes that's what's holding us back. Yeah. Just going to give you guys another 60 seconds or so. And then let's have a few moments of sharing. If anybody, if you feel inclined to put what you got from that download, that question, and then your download, your response in the chat, that would be great. And if anybody would like to share what they got, please raise your hand in the chat box also. And I'll, see how many. You can also just in the chat say me, and I can call on you that way too. It might be a little easier just to pay attention to the chat box. So first, what are you releasing? Susan says 3 things: shame, disappointment, and unhealthy relations. Yep. Okay, let's hear from Jessica, and then we'll hear from 1 or 2 people maybe, and then continue with Gina. For sure. Jess, you want to unmute, or I got you? Oh.
I think we both unmuted.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What I wrote down, kind of vaguely, just kind of old thought patterns. And then I think specifically the feeling that I need to be in control all the time. I'm learning that I have to let that go. To literally let go.
Right. Great. Thank you. Thank you. And if you guys are looking at the chat box, we got lots of really good stuff. Resistance to what is, apathy, fear to be hurt, feeling unworthy, not being aware of and expressing my feelings. Yep. Confusion, murkiness, lack of presence, give up control and remember to trust and surrender. 100%. Stickiness, overwhelm. Awesome. Keep going. Judgment of myself and others. Yeah. Yeah, I'll just share mine, and then Gina, I'm gonna keep going. Love to hear more. The future, yeah, control for sure. Yeah, I am. I'm just looking at those last residual pieces of stepping just so fully into my bold self. Yeah, just looking at what's just there with giving me a little whatever hesitations. It's just distraction. I guess I'm letting go of distraction. That's the best way to say it. Impatience with myself, judgment, need to be right in conversations. Yeah, beautiful. Stuckness. Stuckness, not stickiness. Got it. Okay. Thank you, everybody. It's awesome. Taking our past way of life for granted. Yes. Ignoring tension in the body and fatigue. Yeah, that's a good one. Consumerism. Beautiful. All right, back to you, Gina.
Wow, those are really beautiful responses, and it just the understanding that we know what we're ready to let go of, that brings it to the surface. I mean, really and truly, you don't know how big of a service you're doing to yourself if you at least just start to let go, because if we are letting go and we are in control of that, then honestly, we don't need a virus to do it. Cancer is cells that just won't die. It's that part of us that we're holding on to that either we don't know about or we can't figure out how to let it out, you know? So on a vibrational level, I mean, right? And if on a vibrational level, we can just say, hey, you know, I want to let go of my feeling of shame, that brings it to the surface. It's much easier to let go of it than if it was stuck down in there. So, you know, and viruses live on a frequency. Viruses are transmitted vibrationally, right? So we want to make sure that we get into the vibration of a healthy immune system. And letting go is the best thing that we can do, whatever it is that we need to let go of.
I'm just putting that in the chat. That's a beautiful statement.
Yeah, and if you're interested in understanding really the vibration of a virus, I mean, I teach classes on this, but also like Royal Rife is a scientist that you may have heard of. He actually was able to record the specific frequencies of viruses and witness viruses in their living state, which to this day, we don't have any other, that I know of, people who have done that or shown that. So he was kind of a pioneer in that. And so we get to see literally the frequency of a virus.
Wow. And is that the Rife machine that we know of? Is that
Right.
the same person?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's RIFE.
Right.
And he's amazing. Like, find out about him. He's no longer with us, but did a lot of work in that field.
Awesome. Yeah. I just, hopefully, Jana, you can look him up. Rife, R-I-F-E.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So what else about what specific, like any practical tips around the immune system that, you know, we haven't been hearing out there? There's obviously, you know, a lot.
Yeah. So I'll share. So other things that we can do and to know specifically about viruses is if you take elderberry, elderberry makes it so that the virus cannot attach. And there may be some testing happening. I'm hearing, you know, that a lot of people may need to be tested to go back to work and things like that. So elderberry syrup helps the virus not attach. Zinc helps the virus not replicate. Also lysine. Do you know the amino acid lysine?
Yeah.
It's okay. So you can, and these are extremely inexpensive things. Lysine helps. What I think it does, and this is not necessarily confirmed, but you know, we have the amino acid chains, and so lysine is pretty much in everything that there's protein in, but some foods are a little bit higher in lysine. If you take the lysine on its own, what it does is it makes it so it kind of takes away the gene, it breaks up the gene sequence of the virus itself. It like cracks it open. Okay, so foods that are high in lysine are like bone broth, spirulina. Trying to think. The animal products are actually more. So if you're eating a little bit of like meat or organ meats, you don't have to eat a lot of it. Egg yolks, those have lysine in them, or they're higher in lysine. And foods that are kind of anti that are nuts. So if you think you have a virus or you want to go on an antiviral diet, you would eliminate nuts and seeds and grains, but particularly nuts. And you can do small amounts of grains, right? You know, during an antiviral diet, but you want to keep those low, and you'd have mostly a fruit and vegetable and juicing, and that for whatever works for, you know what I mean, in a combination that works best for you, but you would want to get rid of nuts. High dose of vitamin C really helps flush pathogens out of the body, right? So that's why it's good for boosting the immune system, because it really it helps flush. right? So, and you can do, like, if you have an active viral infection, you can do 1,000 milligrams an hour of vitamin C. Robyn, you know that I muscle test and energy test. I never tell somebody to take a specific dosage. So this is very general. These kinds of things are published out there. Like, yes, you can do 1,000, but this is all up to your body. Too much vitamin C will give you runny stools, and you know you took too much. It's not dangerous usually to take too much unless you have kidney stones. So if you have kidney stones, your body can use the vitamin C to make more of that. So what I do is I recommend whole food vitamin C. Like there's a brand called Sufficiency. That's really, really good. And Camu Camu is a fruit that you can get the powder of. So high dose vitamin C, also iodine. There's a brand called Lugol's iodine. We're extremely deficient in iodine. So if you can take it, some people with like Hashimoto's are told that they can't take it. That's a personal thing. There's also seaweeds. They have a lot of iodine in them. So you can do like seaweed broths or just sprinkle seaweed on top of your food. All of these things are antiviral.
There's one quick question, which is, what's the problem with nuts and grains? And you mentioned like.
Sure. So nuts and grains are high in a different amino acid called arginine, and arginine actually just kind of like feeds the virus. So yeah, you kind of want to do the opposite of that.
Right. What brand of iodine was that?
Lugol's, Lugol's.
Okay, I'm just putting it in the chat for people.
And just a side note, I think almost everybody here could add a whole food based vitamin C to their diet every day, could add a little bit of iodine to their diet every day, could add the elderberry, like a teaspoon a day. And if you feel that you're getting sick, you can gradually increase your dosage. And there are doctors that I've worked with over the years who have taught me these things, and they've done a lot of research on like iodine therapy, vitamin C therapy. Everybody has their own favorite vitamin or mineral, right? But I can give you later the name so that people can look at the research if they want to. There's another one is vitamin D3, or obviously sunshine. So this particular virus is killed by heat. When a virus comes into our body from the outside, our body has a heat sensor. Okay, and that's why we create a fever in order to get rid of it. Now, some viruses like this one is suspected it turns off that heat sensor in the body. So getting out in the sun and taking a sweat bath, so taking a bath to make yourself sweat is a really good idea, and is a good practice to boost the immune system anyway, because like I said, we have viruses anyway. I don't want you to think of them as all bad, but think of them as tools that help your cells die. And you do want your cells to go through their natural life cycle. When cells die, then other ones are regenerated. So this is a good thing. So you can do like a sweat bath a week or twice a week. And when you're on a detox, you can kind of test yourself, how much can I take? How much of a sweat, how long can I go? And this is personalized. Like if I was working with you, I would test you and help you decide what would be the best way for you. But we can make ourselves sweat. If anyone has access to an infrared sauna, the infrared frequency actually attaches to the virus and cancels it out. Okay, so infrared is awesome. Whether it's there's far infrared and near infrared, and both of them have wonderful effects on viruses.
That's wonderful. That's so great. There's a question about coffee from Gina. What about coffee? Any thoughts? What are you going to say about coffee, Gina?
I think you know.
I saw the question.
I think you know.
Like, oh, no. Here it comes.
What is the
which orifice to put coffee into?
what is the coffee question?
It actually, Jana, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Yes, I constantly going back and forth about coffee. I mean, I know about the caffeine, but I attended conference a couple of weeks ago, and one of the doctors, that was about anti-inflammatory effect on the food that affects our brain and can affect our reduce the inflammatory chronic inflammatory effects. So he was raving about coffee as actually something that he would recommend. I can put a name later on, I'll send. And since that time, I keep getting confusing information. So I'm kind of back and forth about benefits of coffee specifically, not the caffeine, but including caffeine.
Okay.
And the downsides. I'm just curious if you have any thoughts about that.
I do, and I hope that I heard your whole question. So you want to know about the benefits of coffee, not just the caffeine, and that you went to a conference and
also
there
if
was
there's
somebody
any negative about it, any drawbacks.
Any negative, yeah.
And let's focus on like now, this time, related to what's happening now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Let's talk about it. So I love coffee. I think it has many medicinal effects, and it's been proven to bring down inflammation and all these wonderful things. But there are different components to it. So coffee does have high arginine in it. So coffee and chocolate are not antiviral. Okay, so I wouldn't do it if I was on an antiviral diet. Caffeine, the amount of caffeine in coffee, if you're having 1 cup and it's really good coffee, you have to know that I have a friend who has a coffee farm, so I happen to know, like, they do a lot of really bad things to coffee, like Starbucks coffee has a lot of sprays on it and things like that. So we're not just talking about coffee. When we're talking about that, we're talking about all these other toxins and stuff. If it's good for you, it's really personalized. Like I said, I do muscle testing and energy testing. I can show you a little muscle test I would do to say if it was good for you or not good for you personally, because I believe in personalized medicine. But what I can say is it is anti-inflammatory, but it's also pro-virus because it's high in arginine, and so is chocolate. So I wouldn't be having them as a healing for virus type thing or a boosting of immune system type thing. Now, also, and we can share, Robyn, if you want to share, I have an article on coffee enemas, if you want to share that, because that's something that I share with people who are on deep detox, if they have autoimmune disease or cancer or something like that. You can actually do a coffee enema, and that helps bring down inflammation big time. So, for example, like a client with lung cancer had pain in the chest, real bad, really bad pain, do a coffee enema and like, oh, I feel so good, because it brings down the inflammation. And the caffeine doesn't affect you in the same way because it doesn't go through your digestion, it goes straight to your liver. So that's the good benefits of coffee is, yes, they are anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. It can be good for you. Nothing is to be overdone. You know, like we're not supposed to go get like that huge size Starbucks latte thing or whatever. And the third thing is just really personalized. So some things that are good for you are not good for me, you know. So I saw a question, why are nuts not good?
Can you answer what about tea? And then Susie had a question about ibuprofen and whether it's really, you know, there's been a lot of rumors about that. But just, I think the question about tea and caffeine, because it relates right now first.
So the question about the caffeine in tea, a little bit of caffeine is okay, and here we go. This is where it gets really personalized here. There isn't a thing like don't drink tea when you have a virus, you know, and remember that tea is a specific tree, the tea tree, right? You know, so there's green tea, black tea, right? And all those other herbal teas are not actually teas. They're more like herbal drinks. Those are not teas. You could do like peppermint tea, chamomile tea. That's not tea. That's like an herbal drink, right? Does that make sense? I think you're cutting out a little bit.
It makes sense to me.
You froze up a little bit.
Oh, I did.
Okay.
It was
yeah,
Jim's.
I can't see you. Okay.
Oh, I see you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Can we
and then do we want to ask the nuts and seeds question?
Well, I think you answered that And Dan
Okay.
was just saying, like, in moderation, which is actually what you just said after he said that. So there's a question about trace minerals, and also Sue's question about what about ibuprofen? Does it really promote the virus?
Okay, so you should have a lot of minerals. We are lacking minerals in our diet because there's not a lot of minerals in our soil. So when we can add minerals that work for us, that's a good thing. I like Concentrace brand. I like 40,000 volts. I like the brand Pure Encapsulations. Let's see. Those are good ones that I can think of right now to add, to add minerals to your life. You can use pink sea salt, Himalayan sea salt, Celtic sea salt in your food. That adds minerals. You can make seaweed broths, medicinal mushroom broths, broths with lots of veggies and herbs in it. Those bring minerals into your diet as well. And then the anti-inflammatories, like they're really in different categories, like Tylenol, for example. Do not take Tylenol right now. Not especially, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think that this virus that we're concerned about right now in our society is a threat to anybody with a strong immune system. It's not. But some of us don't know if we have a strong immune system. We need to boost our immune system. So if you feel like you're getting sick at all, you actually never want to take Tylenol because it blocks your body's ability to, it blocks your body's natural anti-inflammatories. It pushes it down. It pushes symptoms down. When it takes away a fever, it's taking down your body's natural defenses. It's really not good, and it can damage your liver because the anti-inflammatory action comes from the liver, and so it's damaging to the liver. My father taught me this when I was about 10 because he had liver disease, and he never smoked or drank or anything like that. But he had liver disease. He took a lot of Tylenol. The doctor said, "Are you taking Tylenol?" And I started, so it was like 10 years old. So I started to do research on it then with my dad. So I've known about this for a long time. I haven't had Tylenol in my body since I was like 10. And then your other ones, they're similar, is that like the ibuprofen and stuff. I saw that as a recommendation, like take ibuprofen. I think that's for the pain. I think they're just trying to tell people, like, mitigate your pain and maybe take down your fever.
There's actually this rumor, like, if you take ibuprofen, it makes the virus worse.
It will make the virus worse, right? It definitely will. I mean, so it will, because it pushes your body's natural defenses down. It kills your microbiome. It kills, so we talked about the natural, the bugs that are in our gut and stuff, and in our skin and stuff, and it kills them. And so it kills our natural defenses, can cause a spike of, if we have inside of us candida or staph or something like that, it will cause us to have another infection because it causes our gut bacteria to go out of balance. And then it can cause brain stuff too. So once the gut's out of balance, then you have depression, and lots of people with depression simply have a physical thing going on. They have an imbalance in the gut that leaked into the brain, and all of these things are a factor in that. So I recommend, if you think you have a virus or the virus, to look into the first things that I recommended here. And then if you're really in pain, like aches and pains and stuff, think about doing a coffee enema. Like I said, I'll share my article, and there's plenty of videos on how to do it. I'm thinking about making a video on how to do it, because that instantly brings pain down, because it's an instant anti-inflammatory kind of like drug, if you will. And it's non-steroidal, so it's perfect. It's great.
So
was there another
virus, that would be something that you would suggest, is to do a coffee enema?
I would, and just for point of reference, I have a lot of cancer clients, and I had one who got pneumonia during this time, and so of course there was a fear of the virus, right? Well, she was tested and she doesn't have it, but the coffee enema brought her pain down tremendously. So, and I see a question, what about curcumin? Excellent for bringing inflammation down.
Great. Whew, let's take a breath together. Those of you that didn't just take a breath, I invite you to take a breath. Great. Yeah, turmeric, Laura, is the same as curcumin. And Jill, welcome. Come in anytime. Mitchell, you were asking something about can they promote kidney stones? Well, I'm not sure which thing. If you
Trace
wanna,
minerals.
I'm sorry. Oh, trace minerals. Can they promote kidney stones?
Because I was taking it, and then it was just synchronicity, but I had gone to the doctor and they thought that I was developing or passing a stone. It never developed, thank God. But I stopped taking the trace mineral.
Interesting.
Maybe too
So,
much salt. I'll let Gina
I just thought it was that, but maybe I'm wrong, you know.
well, typically they should actually help break apart the kidney stones. But in my work, I noticed that some people have an opposite effect to things. So there's always like a front and a back end to things. You know, something that can heal one person can harm another. Is it possible that you already had enough minerals in your system from something else and you started taking more? I don't really know, but that's an interesting phenomenon because typically if somebody had kidney stones and they were coming, just typically, but I do test. So, but generally speaking, I would be wanting to add a lot of magnesium to their diet, maybe and potassium too. Calcium can cause kidney stones. We don't want to take too much calcium. Typically, you want to take double the amount of magnesium to calcium. And it's good to get your minerals in a form where they're not like singled out, you know, just get them all together. Because like if I'm eating like a leaf, a plant, some kind of a plant or seaweed or a food, it's full of different minerals. You know, it's not just one extracted mineral. Too much calcium can cause kidney stones. Too much iron in the body. We get a lot of iron because it's the heaviest mineral, and it's you know, it's in everything, and we're not getting the other minerals, like I said, because the soils are pretty dead. So iron can cause it as well.
It's a great question here for you, Gina, and I know this is your specialty. Thoughts from Jessica, thoughts on getting your microbiome sequenced? Does that add any actionable information?
Getting your microbiome sequenced, do you mean like a test?
Jess, do you want to unmute?
Well, I mean, I think so. You can even get your microbiome like genetically sequenced. There's a lot of like biotech startup companies out there and like different types of companies. You send in a sample and they tell you what kind of microbes you have. So kind of like leading into that personalized information, but wondering like if there's any, once I get that information, like what do I do with it? Is it even worth it? You know?
Yeah. I don't think it's personally worth it yet. From a standpoint of a lot of these, this is still new. And so you've got acidophilus. Well, now what? Okay. I think that it's interesting, and I certainly have clients who do it. Typically when they get their test, it's like, oh, okay. So you see this list and it's got all these different bacteria on it. And we'll single out one and we'll be like, yeah, we talked about that. We knew you had parasites. Let's just work on the parasites. It doesn't matter what the name of the bacteria is. You know, that's how we tend to feel. So if you've already done a lot of personalized work and you're looking for something even more, I think perhaps, but then you have to work with a practitioner who can read the test and know what to do about it. If you have, for example, an overload of like Klebsiella or, you know, like this, you know, an overload of something, and we have a specific other either antibiotic or probiotic that can balance that out, that might be very beneficial. Maybe you have SIBO, for example, which is in your small intestine, it's the wrong bacteria. And you get a test and they say, oh, we have an antibiotic for that. That's perfect for that. Let's do that. And you want to do that, you know? So if you're sick and you've done personalized stuff and you think you have something specific, yeah. Otherwise, I don't think we have enough information about each little bacteria to know what to do or if it's bad. Cause like we all have different microbiome in us, and look at us, we're all look healthy. You know what I mean? So that's my opinion.
Thank you. quick question about side effects of zinc. I don't think
So
you-
yeah, side effects of zinc. Zinc is good, and if you take zinc, if you take like the liquid or you take a pill of zinc and it doesn't taste salty in your mouth, then you're deficient in zinc. So that's like an easy way to know if you're deficient. If you're not deficient, you don't want to take it necessarily. My personal thing is I don't take minerals on their own. I don't take like just zinc unless I'm in a situation. So if I had the virus, I might take it for a little while. Side effects of zinc, I don't really know of any specific side effects, but when you're taking too much of the wrong thing, you can get you will not feel well. I mean, that's really general, but that's why we test. That's why I muscle test and energy test. And of course, there's that you can get zinc drops, put it in your mouth and be like, okay, I don't taste it at all. Then you're deficient in zinc. So if you're deficient, you can take it. Otherwise, take it as a part of like the concentrates where everything is together, or just have your broths and stuff where there's already zinc in it. Is it true that zinc and vitamin C work well together? They do. And like I said, so zinc helps the virus not replicate. So, you'll find those like vitamin C, elderberry, zinc, cold tablet things, right? Or those lozenges. You can get those. Generally, if I'm doing too much magnesium, you would get diarrhea. If you're doing too much potassium, you would get constipated. And I've never had anybody have too much zinc. Skin, you would get skin like pimples and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not very common to have that. Let's yeah, I see Mitchell's banana. Very good. So gosh, this is amazing because there's so many questions and we just have a few minutes left. So I would like you to answer the last question here. Thank you, Vicki. I know you mentioned self-testing, but which I think would be helpful for people. Let's have one more question answered. I'll read it to you. And then, yeah, I mean, find Gina on Facebook. She's an incredible resource. She does a lot of free Facebook Lives, and you can ask questions. And also, I'll send you some of the articles that you mentioned. But Laura asked a question, which I think is a good one right now. What is your perspective on all the washing and disinfecting of everything continuously, including all groceries and produce?
Okay, so it is just my perspective, right? So if we wash too much, if we wash our hands too much, we're literally getting rid of the bacteria that will protect us, okay? The actual hand sanitizer has a chemical in it, a lot of times called triclosan, which causes cancer, which kills your microbiome. You don't really want that. From my research and what I know about viruses is that they're not alive, so they can't live without a human. I worked as a dental assistant a long time ago and pricked my finger on a needle that was used for a client and freaked out. I was 20 years old. And I learned all about HIV and all these kinds of things. And I learned that, it's really easy to kill a virus. And in my work, I love it when people come with viruses versus bacterial infections. So viruses cannot live without some kind of help. They need our mucus, they need our spit, they need us, right? So you can go ahead and disinfect things that are coming into the house, but I would disinfect them with things like tea tree oil and colloidal silver, which are known to kill viruses and bacteria, and not disinfect them with something that can also harm you when you're breathing it in. And also, heat kills the virus, right? And so if you are a little worried about that, leave it out on the porch for like half an hour and let the sun help you with killing it. We don't know everything about this virus, but I know about viruses, and my research on this virus, it doesn't add up to the amount of worry that they're creating for us to have. So I would say you don't need to scrub, and think that if you're walking 6 feet away from somebody, that you could still get from them. It's not like that. That's not how viruses transfer. And I think that if you do these things that we mentioned on the call today, including letting go, like let's really let go, let's just practice. How are we going to let go? Because then it can't get us. You know, if it's a thing, it won't touch us.
Oh, she froze on my screen, but that was a perfect sentence.
Can you hear me? You're a little
now.
frozen too. Yeah.
I'm just gonna put that last sentence into the chat. I'm sorry for the people who had questions that didn't get them answered in this moment. And I know that, again, reach out to Gina. I put your website up, and I will be sending out the recording, yes, and to all the people who've registered. And find Gina LaVerde on Facebook. She's got a business page and a personal profile page. And as I said before, you share so generously, Gina, and I think you're helping a lot of people right now feel grounded and feel like they have some control over something that, you know, feels out of control right now. So I'm just going to post, your website is just ginalaverde.com, right?
Right. And if you, there's a part of my website, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Because you're cutting out a little too. But there's a section on my website that says start here. And if you click it, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So if you go to my website and you click start here, it offers you a free class. I have to update that. It's going to invite you to my free Facebook group where you can get a video on the self-testing. Okay. Actually, it'll come right to your email now that I remember. So if you click it, you give your email address, you're going to get some videos sent to your email to teach you how to self-test, how to muscle test, and how to use a pendulum to test. And that can be helpful when you're deciding what dosages you want to take, what supplements you want to take. So I didn't get to talk about it here, but those are more in-depth anyway.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much. And to everybody, what a beautiful group. We had over 40 people at our max. And tomorrow we have Penny Gold coming. I'm really excited about that. So please come on back. And I just encourage you to use this as a structure to ground you in the morning and to set your day off in a positive way. And it's so valuable for all of us to keep coming back to love and learn all the practices to love ourselves better. So as Gina said, we just keep letting go, back to love, and keep the virus away, and create really healthy lives for ourselves and each other. So thank you, everybody. Lots of love. I'll leave the chat open for another moment so people can send notes or connect with each other. Namaste, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Thank you so much, Gina. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my God, that was such a blessing.
Thank you, Robyn. And
you're welcome.
Gina and everybody else.
You're welcome.
So nice to see all these faces too. I love this.
Yeah. Send me an article or two, Gina, that you mentioned, and I'll send it out.
Okay.
Thank you,
I'll
Gina.
send you the copy. Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome.
Have a great day, everybody. Bye, Sean. Kebra and Margaret, thanks for being here. And
Yeah,
Bill.
thank you, Robyn.
You're welcome. My pleasure, Georgette. Thanks for being
Hi.
Here. Hey, beautiful.
Thanks, Robyn.
You're welcome. So good to see everybody. Love your faces. I love your energy. Invite to the next meeting. The invite should come out every day. I'll tell Vicki if she's not on, but yeah. It's the same link every day. Thanks for all the love. Hey, Holly. Jess and Diane. Oh, good. Got the message. Yes. Yes. Same link tomorrow. Same thing. Come on back. All right, you guys. Lots of love. Yes, curious more from Gina. Absolutely. Connect with her on Facebook. She's a treasure trove of information that's to treasure as a human. Find her on Facebook. She's one of my friends, so you can just search my friend if you can't find her directly, but I'm sure you will. All right. Bye, everybody. Lots of love. Mwah.
Everyone.